Sectoral and St. Mary Central. So a long list of visitors to the Parliament today. Let me also make a general statement of welcome to everyone who is seated here in our gallery at the houses and to those who have joined us on PBCJ and the various other social media platforms. Welcome to the Houses of Parliament. Clerk, call of the roll.
Mr. Clark. Here. Mr. Bartlett. Dr. Holness, Dr. Chang, Mrs. Williams, Ms. Grange, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chalk, Mr. Vaz, Dr. Tufton, Mrs. Malahoo Fort, Mr. Green, Mr. Charles Jr., Mr. Matthew Samuda, Mr. Morgan, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Terrelong, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Whitter, Dr. Dunn, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown-Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Enriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Carl Samuda, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Siblis, Mr. Slowly, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wright, and Ms. Davis. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Clark. I'm surprised I'm able to see so well. I'm seeing one of the hoteliers who treat us here in Jamaica so very well, Mr. Reader. I recall observing him being honored in our national awards. Welcome to the Parliament. House Leader.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to join you in welcoming members to the sitting today. Madam Speaker, this being the season when there are graduations and a few other events, we just want the public to appreciate that normally this house starts on time and we have always been on time. And that is one of the disciplines that we have infused in this administration, that the house starts on time. So the unusual start today naturally emanates from the fact that a number of members were involved in those type of very important activities, and therefore we do want the public to appreciate that in the normal run of things, we are on time. Madam Speaker, I'd like also to join you in welcoming members of the gallery who are here, their excellencies from the Diplomatic Corps, the permanent secretary, my permanent secretary, Jennifer Griffiths, CD, who is here, a number of chairpersons of boards from the ministry, and executive directors of the ministry, and of course, Madam Speaker, the daughter of our friend and member from St. Mary's Central, who is here with us. And it's always wonderful to see family in the gallery, especially on occasions like these, and of course, the most important guests who are in the gallery, the members of the great constituency of East Central St. James. And I want to welcome them all. Madam Speaker, but I want to feel very special in making this welcome now, this particular welcome, because I'm welcoming to this chamber, in the well of the House, for the first time, the Minister of State for Tourism, Senator Delano Seabright. And you will know why I feel particularly proud to welcome him today. So, Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the suspension of the agenda items leading to public business, so as to allow for the continuation of the sectoral debate. And as is known to all, today we will have two speakers, one of whom is the member from St. Mary's Central, and the other, of course, is yours truly. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, House Leader. As indicated by House Leader, he would want to recommit all the items on the agenda and move straight to public business. Public business is the call. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader, I don't think you necessarily need to change your seat. Turn your.
So, Madam Speaker, at this time I would ask you to invite the Minister of Tourism to make his presentation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
One of the greatest ministers of tourism, leader of the House of Parliament, members, please join me in making welcome the Minister of Tourism.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, most Honorable Prime Minister, esteemed colleagues in this Honorable House, distinguished guests, and the people of Jamaica. When a visitor steps onto Jamaican soil, they step into a vibrant, living story. A story composed of our culture's rhythm, our heritage, and above all, the radiant warmth of our people. Today, Madam Speaker, I rise on the 22nd occasion as a Minister of Government in Jamaica to report on the progress of the Ministry of Tourism for the financial year 2024-25, to present our plans for 2024-26, and to reaffirm a core principle that has guided our work from the outset. Tourism must be for all Jamaicans. It must be a catalyst for community development, a driver of enterprise, and a platform upon which dreams become reality. To my beloved wife, Carmen, and our family, thank you. Thank you for over 50 years of strength and support, for enduring the vicissitudes of my avocation, and to be able to today feel the same sense of love and commitment and care that we shared before it all began. I want to thank you for your enduring strength and the love that sustains me through the demanding schedule of building the great constituencies, both of Eastern St. Andrew and East Central St. James, that the good master has allowed me to serve over the years, and now the great ministry of tourism. I give thanks to Almighty God for his continued grace and guidance, for it is only through his blessing that we have achieved the seemingly impossible. I express sincere gratitude to my Prime Minister and my leader, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. His steadfast leadership and strategic vision have enabled our tourism industry to recover, grow, and excel. To my cabinet colleagues, I thank you for your unwavering support as we work tirelessly to integrate tourism within the broader national development framework that will transform Jamaica. I extend my deep appreciation to my Minister of State, my son, Senator the Honorable Delano Seavright, my permanent Secretary Jennifer Griffiths, whose administrative excellence has been the backbone of our ministry's operation over the years. She indeed is the longest serving permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism's history. To the ministry team, boards, executive management, and staff of our public bodies, I thank you for your governance and oversight in ensuring that every dollar invested in tourism development delivers maximum returns to the people of Jamaica. To the opposition spokesperson on tourism, Senator Allen, I appreciate your constructive engagements on matters of national importance that indeed transcends political boundaries. And to the people, the great people of East Central St. James, your faith and unwavering support over the last 28 years have inspired my every step in this honorable chamber and beyond. Together, we have expanded scholarship opportunities for students, which is the great pride of our activities in that constituency. The thousands of children who are today adults all across the world. And Madam Speaker, it really gives me a personal sense of honor and indeed pride when I travel on government business to various cities across the world and to see students, not just from East Central, but also from my other constituency of East St. Andrew, coming to greet you and to meet you and to hug you and to say thanks, because as a result of our stewardship, today they are professionals in various disciplines across the world. So together, we have implemented youth empowerment programs. We have done community development programs. We have created infrastructure and we have created innovation in so many areas in that constituency. And we are proud that all your efforts and mine together have culminated in bearing fruits, good fruits, for our communities and our people. We have advanced critical housing development and community upgrades, delivering homes for hard-working families in the constituency. And Madam Speaker, we could go on to say much more, but I want to just close this beat by giving special tribute to my councillors who are here, and particularly to the team in my office who have worked assiduously in that office for over 20 years to deliver the goods for the people of the constituency. Madam Speaker, I want you to imagine a Jamaica where the influence of tourism is felt in the produce of our farmers who supply fresh callaloo to hotel kitchens. The artistry of our craftspeople whose creation adorn lobbies. The innovation of our entrepreneurs who develop cutting-edge tourism apps. And the aspirations of our youth who see endless possibilities in this dynamic industry. This indeed is more than a vision. It is a blueprint for national transformation. It is the essence, Madam Speaker, of our theme for today's presentation, that we thrive in 25, linking tourism to every Jamaican success. We're not simply measuring success, Madam Speaker, in terms of visitor numbers or hotel rooms. Instead, we are constructing a tourism sector that is inclusive, resilient, and proudly Jamaican. One in which every citizen, from Negro's white sand beaches to Moran Point's rugged coastline, feels the pulse of opportunity generating in this vital industry. Tourism is not a privilege for a few. It is a national asset that belongs to all of us. This collective mission requires the active involvement of every ministry, every agency, and every Jamaican who believes in our nation's potential. Our approach, therefore, is multifaceted and systematically deepened across social and all the sectoral linkages that ensure tourism dollar circulates and permeates through the recesses of our economy rather than leaking offshore. We're building on this foundation. We're driving Jamaica's emergence as the Caribbean's first smart tourism destination, advancing digital transformation, investing in people and infrastructure, and embedding resilience across the tourism value chain to uplift communities and future-proof the industry. This is our direction. It is our commitment. This is our legacy. We're shaping a legacy for future generations, a tourism industry that transcends economics to become a driving force for national renewal, empowerment, and pride. Madam Speaker, Jamaica's tourism sector has undergone a remarkable transformation, a true renaissance that has made us a global leader in resilience, innovation, and inclusive growth, setting a benchmark that other destinations now strive to emulate. Madam Speaker, allow me to highlight 25 major successes that we've had up to 2025. And notice the 5, Madam Speaker, because you will recall when I began my KPIs of 5 by 5 by 5. And now in this reporting, we have 25 achievements in 2025. One, Madam Speaker, we successfully recovered from COVID-19 and presented a global model to the world. Jamaica achieved one of the world's fastest tourism recovery through our Tourism Recovery Task Force, some of whom are in the gallery today, and we have invited them to share this moment. Resilient corridors we created, hosting some over 800,000 visitors safely, and free online training, Madam Speaker, for over 8,000 displaced workers, while we were there with each of our workers during the period of furlough for some, and mild displacements for others. But we were there with them with care packages, and we were there with our workers, training and building their capacity to come back to work as quickly as possible because we knew what we were doing. By 2024, 4.5 million visitors and $4.3 billion in earning, exceeding the pre-pandemic level, and tourism was able to drive 10 consecutive quarters of national economic growth. Madam Speaker, this marks significant progress towards the nation's ambitious 5 by 5 by 5 growth targets securing 5 million visitors, as we say, and earn $5 billion in the year, hopefully ending 2025. Second, Madam Speaker, the Workers' Tourism Pension Scheme. Launched in 2022, the world's first, and I want to emphasize that, this is Jamaica's leadership in the world. The world's first comprehensive tourism pension scheme is here and is covering workers from the age of 18 to 65, marking a historic step in the social protection for the sector. To date, Madam Speaker, 10,567 individuals have registered and have contributed $4.3 billion to date. Madam Speaker, the accretion rate is at over $100 million per month. And so it is expected that by the end of 25, we will achieve another 5. So it will now be 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. 5 million visitors, $5 billion in 5 years, and $5 billion Jamaican dollars, of savings for the workers of the industry. Madam Speaker, the Tourism Enhancement Fund. This marks the 20th anniversary of the TEF. 2 decades of meaningful investment in Jamaica's tourism development. Over that time, TES have nearly doubled its value in terms of the generated funds for the people of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, in 2015, the TEF had brought in 5 billion Jamaican dollars. In 2024, the TEF brought $10 billion to the Consolidated Fund of Jamaica, doubling in the matter of 8 years. Their sponsors provided a pivotal role in driving strategic projects and programs that improve the retention of tourism earnings and support national development. As Jamaica reimagines the future of tourism, I have given the TF a bold new mandate to lead a transformational shift towards a more sustainable, inclusive, and circular tourism economy. And I want to make a point about the circular tourism economy, because a lot of people believe that tourism just happens to provide support for those who are immediately involved. Not true. The impact of tourism is really all across the spaces. No, not multimodal, but it is multifaceted. It embraces every area. As a matter of fact, one of the points that we need to make from it is that the purpose of tourism is to uplift communities. And I have a dream to create the first tourism innovation city in Jamaica. And that will be in the Rose Hall area. We'll talk more about it. Because now that we're building 2 of the largest hotels in the Caribbean, construction of one that has started, and we break ground for another in another few weeks. In addition to what exists there, that corridor will have over 10,000 hotel rooms. We're building 1,550 new houses with the NHT at Barrett Hall. We're building 1,635 new houses from the TF HAJ arrangement in Grange Pen. We already have development in Rhine Park, in Edmund Ridge, in Brooks Hall, and in the various areas around. Madam Speaker, what we will have is a full-set community requiring infrastructure now for social development. And one of the hotel partners that is coming has committed to the building of a city around the hotel facilities. That will be unique to Jamaica. And so out of that will flow a tourism that drives activities on one side into the communities on the other side. and the community on that side driving activities into the hotel. That's the essence of the circular economy of which I speak. We want to empower workforce and maximize the economic benefit of tourism for Jamaicans across the island. Fourth, the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation, another first that was created by Jamaica and offered to the world. Madam Speaker, we have made significant strides in strengthening the tourism workforce through internationally benchmarked certification programs. To date, over 20,000 individuals, workers, have been certified across 20 courses, including 3,921 in customer service, 379 in hospitality supervisors, 224 chefs. And these certifications were delivered in collaboration with key industry partners, the JHTA, HART NSTA, the American Hotel and Lodging Education Institute, and the American Culinary Foundation. And just to indicate, American Culinary Federation. And just to indicate, Madam Speaker, that this model of the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation has been adopted by UN Tourism, that is UNWTO, and is now being used as a model across the world. And the partner that we selected, the American Hotel and Lodging Education Institute, is also the partner they selected. And they selected that partner because Jamaica had found that partner and the success that we have had in certifying the workers of our industry. But, Madam Speaker, the next critical area is the area of hospitality and tourism management. Because we're not stopping at simply certifying. We are recognizing the importance of preparing the next generation. And so we expanded the program into high schools. And I'm happy to report that since 2019, 767 students have already been certified, marking a bold step towards future-proofing the sector and creating a pipeline of skilled, job-ready graduates. The fifth is strategic airlift expansion. Major new airlift routes are expanding Jamaica's global connectivity and driving visitor growth. These include LATAM, the new non-stop service from Lima, World to Fly, charter flights out of Lisbon, Avelo Airlines from Hartford and Raleigh, American Airlines inaugural flights to Boscobel in St. Mary, and a number of other airlines are asking questions about Boscobel Aerodrome as a possibility for stand. United Airlines non-stop from Denver. Airport. International Airport. Yes, the member from St. Mary Western would not have us say it otherwise. Absolutely correct. The Bahama Air from Nassau. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has over the years become the most connected destination in the entire English-speaking Caribbean. And we are only second to the Dominican Republic, and that's only because they have a stronger European connection than we have. But Jamaica today is the most connected destination out of the United States of America. And almost anywhere in the US that you are coming from and you want to go to Jamaica, there is a connectivity through the hubs and spoke system. Since 2011, stopover arrivals have grown from 1.9 million to 2.9 million, an impressive 37% increase. Even more striking, Madam Speaker, the tourism earnings have surged by 80% over the same period, reflecting Jamaica's strength and strengthened appeal, in fact, as a premier travel destination. The sixth, agricultural linkages network, and I think the Minister of Agriculture will relate to this one very well. A digital platform created by us, another first in the tourism industry, that now has over 2,000 small farmers directly connected to the hotels and achieving over $1.2 billion of sales today. This has never happened in the history of tourism in the entire Caribbean region. Jamaica has led the way. The tourism linkage network expansion, Madam Speaker, is now covering 5 networks: gastronomy, health and wellness, sports and entertainment, shopping, and knowledge. And knowledge network is one that is now driving the deeper integration through the new digital platforms that are being established. We've been able to set up programs such as Christmas in July, speed networking activities, and major partnerships. We looked at event playbook workshop, Taste of Jamaica app, and of course, the very well celebrated Blue Mountain Coffee Festival. The 8th, Madam Speaker, the historic resort investment have surged. Over the period, more than $3 billion have been invested or committed. We have seen the establishment of H10 Hotel in Coral Spring, 1,000 rooms plus. We've seen the Rio expansion of 753 rooms, Princess Grandin Center, 1,005 rooms, with upcoming developments now with Unico, Hard Rock, Moon Palace, and others targeting 20,000 new rooms over the next 10 years. The 9th innovation has been the Tourism Innovation Incubator, where $100 million have been put to support young entrepreneurs. And Madam Speaker, I just want to pause on this because tourism is driven by ideas, new ideas. And the essence of driving new ideas is the minds of the young. And what we have noted, Madam Speaker, is that our youth to become engaged in tourism requires a recognition of their ideas. Well, not just a recognition of their ideas, but a monetizing too of their ideas. How do you enable these ideas to germinate, to be converted into material goods and services which have a value and a price? And so we established the Innovation Incubator. And today we are able to boast of graduates from that program who are now involved in mega enterprises and activity. And we want to particularly note the work of Dr. Chambers. And I will speak a little more about him later on as we go into looking at the future of tourism. But what has happened is that a number of young people have now created not just new apps, but have created new attractions, new ideas that have come. And I will explain a little further how the incubator actually works and the extent to which we have been able to transit persons who are involved in the program into the private sector, creating startups and enabling them now to be inserted in the value chain of tourism. The 10th one, Madam Speaker, is the tourism, what I call the SMTE loan program. And Jamaica, again, in all these instances, have led the world because the acronym SMTE is a creation of Jamaica. Everybody knows about SMEs and so on. But we created the small and medium tourism enterprises. We created a position for those who are providing more than 30% of their activities to tourism. And the world has borrowed it, if I'm allowed to say so with some pride, that we introduced it at the G20 in Argentina, and it was adopted. And the OAS today has SMTE as a designation for support across the Americas. So, Madam Speaker, we put $1 billion in the Exim Bank to provide on lending facilities for these SMTEs at the lowest interest rates available at the time of 4.5%. And to date, Madam Speaker, $2.48 billion have been disbursed to 509 small and medium tourism enterprises supporting resilience and business expansion. And indeed, we still have $750 million to be on lend. And the story is that small people, when they borrow, do pay. Do pay. And we're proud to say that the tourism industry now is not just talking about providing a base for the big guys. We have been committed, this Andrew Holness-led administration have been committed to building capacity among the small players, and we have put our money where our mouth is. The next is the worker and housing support. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Tourism has partnered with the Ministry of Housing, the NHT, and this is another, groundbreaking achievement. That we have worked with the private developers to secure housing units for workers of the industry in the Rhine Park Estate and Grange Pen. And Grange Pen in St. James, I want to make a special point about that. Because there were over 535 families living in this informal settlement. Without water, proper electricity, proper roads, and proper infrastructure in general. And also they were at the mercy of FINSAC. And the tourism industry, through the TEF, purchased the property from FINSAC, passed it over to HAJ, and said to HAJ, we are going to put $1 billion in this for you to provide the road network, the water, the electricity arrangement, and sewage. And then at the end, got housing to enable titling. And to date, we have provided over 55 titles for the 535 families who are there, and they all will get titles in New Term. Madam Speaker, these are families that live across the road from great posh hotels. And the concern that we have had is that when you leave the palatial setting of the hotel, you must not go into a hovel. You must not leave flush toilet and go into a space that you are using a different type of facility. You must not leave the essence of luxury and then to go into penury and poverty. And that is what has driven the TEF over the period to provide support, not just for that one, but to several other communities across Jamaica, and we are committed. And a little later on we talk about our social housing program that we are partnering with our Prime Minister's special program to enable small players and ordinary workers of the industry to have a chance to own a home of their own. Additionally, 4 major hotel investor groups, including RCD Hotels, Bahia Principe, and Princess Resort, have pledged to build over 2,000 residential units for industry employees and their families. And already I announced that we will have 500 houses to be built shortly under the social housing program, which I will speak about later on. 12, Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center. And this is something that we again are proud of. First, Jamaica provided global leadership. And in 2019, when we established the first satellite center, Madam Speaker, in Nairobi, in Kenya, at the Kenyatta University, within 3 months after that center was set up, we had COVID-19 in March of 2020. And the purpose, of course, of building resilience was a new concept in the tourism space. As a matter of fact, the word resilience was not even being used around. And we have made that an internationally accepted term as a result of COVID, because COVID became the most existential threat that Anthropocene Earth had seen. And it calls for a sense of being able to respond, and to respond quickly, to manage, to recover, and then to thrive afterwards. And Jamaica has led the way in that regard. So now we have the headquarters at the University of the West Indies here in Mona, with 6 centers across the world. But more importantly, through our own Prime Minister and his statement to the United Nations in 2022, Jamaica was able to propose that February 17th be established as Global Tourism Resilience Day, and the UN accepted with 93 countries voting in favor of the resolution. And today, February 17th, across the world is recognized as Global Tourism Resilience Day. 13, the development of Iconic Experience landmarks. And these experiences across the island, Madam Speaker, continue to boost civic pride and visitor engagement. When we started the program, we got a lot of beat up over it, as you remember. People say you're spending money to make signs because they didn't understand what the importance of these iconic attractions were and what it did for the presence of the country as not only as a place where you go, but a place where you can have memories enshrined. And the thousands of visitors who have taken pictures and weddings and all sorts of activities that have taken place around these areas. But what it did more than anything is it authenticated their visit. And today we are proud that we have a number of them across the island, the latest of which was in Hope Gardens, where a few days ago we unveiled the Hope Gardens Iconic Experience Landmark. Madam Speaker, 14 Destination Assurance Framework. Now, I want to make a point about this one, Madam Speaker, because it's the world's first. Again, I just wanted to make the point about how innovative Jamaica has been and the level of global leadership that we have provided in tourism. That we established a national destination assurance policy. And when we created the idea, nobody understood what we're talking about. And I called some friends at the University, Washington University in DC. And they have a very strong tourism program. Professor Don Hawkins and the team who had come to establish the JCTI, the one I spoke about earlier with us. And they came and they started to work with us to study and to look at what it is that Minister Bartlett was talking about, destination assurance. Because what we really want to do is to give a promise. Is to give a promise to the market that when they come to Jamaica, they will have a safe, secure, and seamless experience. And that promise must not be second-guessed. And therefore, we wanted to create a policy around it, which would involve the presence and participation of all the key players that are responsible to enable the experience to be safe, secure, and seamless. And of course, we have been able to bring together all the partners, and we have created resort area councils around it. And we have brought in global best practices, and we have done security audits, and we are satisfied based on the good work that our Minister of National Security and his team have done to say to the world now, without fear of equivocation or guessing or contradiction, that Jamaica is a safe destination for all the visitors. Our National Beach Development Program is something that is a source of pride. The key and most iconic attraction of which, Madam Speaker, was partnering with our Prime Minister and the UDC in creating the Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay. And it's $900 million from the TEF that was invested in that. And we're doing more because we now have designs for a number of others across the country, and we'll talk about that in our next element of the discussion. The Montego Bay Convention Center revitalization. When we took over that center properly, when we took it from the international partners who were managing it, and we started managing it, PS. And when everybody said that convention centers can't turn around, convention centers globally don't make profits, convention centers globally don't even break even. But it is true, they provide a catalytic role in enabling activities for various other subsectors. But we took that facility, and under the leadership of Marie James, we have transformed that convention center. And today, when I report later on and the details of its performance, you will see from a loss-making activity into one now that has operational surplus. So since 2020, the center has undergone a remarkable financial turnaround, doubling own source revenue, because normally the government had to be spending. Each year now we are spending less from the consult fund on the convention center. And we have moved the revenue from 196 million to 388.7 million in a matter of 2 years. Moving from 199 million net loss, listen to this, 199 million net loss to 22 million. You tell me. And we are moving at a rate that we guarantee you that financial year 26-27, you're going to see the convention center not making a loss and it's profitable. This transformation reflects stronger governance, strategic management, and growing global demand. 17th Carnival in Jamaica. That's a big plus. Madam Speaker, Kingston is now established as the global carnival capital of the Caribbean. Hello, Trinidad. Generating over 5 billion Jamaican dollars in 2025 and attracting thousands of international revelers. And you know why I pointed out to that? Because I was on one of the trailers and there were some revelers from Trinidad who were there with me. And they said, Minister, you're taking it away from us. and they were very serious about it because the innovation that we brought to it. And when you take reggae and dancehall and create that fusion with soca, right? And calypso and kaiso, my goodness, there's nothing to match it. And that's what Jamaica has been doing. Madam Speaker, the 18th is the Urban Renewal Project, the Artisan Village in Falmouth, another first. And that has generated a huge amount of interest and support. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it later on as part of the future to enable local and indigenous artistic expressions in material form to be made available to our visitors, because people don't come to Jamaica to buy made in Japan and made in Singapore. They come for made in Jamaica goods. And that's what is at the heart of the Artisan Village concept. The East Kingston Promenade, which we did, and of course the St. Thomas Destination Development Plan, which our Prime Minister instigated and guided us in developing, and everybody sees how St. Thomas is now growing. And the biggest of all is the urban center, which our Prime Minister opened only a few weeks ago. So, Madam Speaker, the issue of Airbnb and short-term rentals. In 2016, we did an MOU, which led to formal sector inclusion, and with the hosting at the time of a small amount, and people wondered what was going on. But I just want to make the point that this sharing economy concept, which has taken over in the world today and has been a huge part of the tourism accommodation subsector, democratizing that and bringing small players into the mix with people with a simple home in some deep rural part of Jamaica that now is accommodating tourists and visitors. When the idea began, it was rebuffed by the big boys. And I was then chairman of the Executive Council of the UNWTO affiliates. And I had to make the point to them that this represents innovation. And what we are supposed to do is to support innovation. Because more and more is going to come. And so said, so done. You found the Ubers of the world came up afterwards, and the whole business of what we have with different types of permutations now of how services are provided in tourism by various groups. And so Airbnb came, they had a MOU with us, and the first year Jamaican hosts earned 32 billion Jamaican dollars in 2024, and in fact entertained 840,000 guests. Madam Speaker, what that says is that the issue of inclusiveness in tourism is not just a discussion, it's not just a wish, but it is indeed a fact, because the benefit of tourism is permeating even into the deepest recesses of the Jamaican communities. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has been recognized by the world for various awards, and we have been given so many awards that it makes, in fact, the rest of the Caribbean feel like, you know, it's only Jamaica exists. But it is true that Jamaica has copped so many awards that, you know, at points in time when we go to these events, people say, okay, it's Jamaica again. This is a Jamaican event. But that is true because of how our workers, and because of the quality of the service that we provide, and the experience that people have when they come to Jamaica, and the excellence that is in there in terms of our leadership, among other things. And so, Madam Speaker, we are proud to speak of those quality awards that Jamaica, and in a very humble way, I say, the Jamaican minister too, has had over the years in this area. Madam Speaker, another critical area of success for us has been the retention rate in tourism. When I became minister first in 2007, the retention rate was then 20 cents in the dollar. When I came back as minister in the second iteration, it had gone up to 25 cents. And since the Andrew Holness administration has taken over the tourism activities, we have moved the retention rate from 25 cents in the dollar to 40.8 cents in the dollar. And there are some who say 40 cents is little. And perhaps it's true, because we have to do more. And you will hear how we are going to do more in the next chapter of the presentation. But to say that Jamaica's position at 40.8 cents in the dollar is twice that of the Caribbean average. Twice that of the Caribbean average. And we are only behind one country in the region, and that's Damrep, who is at 50. And of course, just behind India, which has the largest in the world of 60 cents to the dollar. So that's where we are going. And you will hear more about how we are going to get there later on.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the Minister be allowed an additional 45 minutes to complete his presentation. The Minister's presentation is quite fulsome, quite comprehensive, and so I crave your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Members, the question is that the question.
Go ahead. Half an hour.
House, the question is that the House Leader be allowed half an hour to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Wonderful presentation. Continue, House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is true that when successes are being enumerated, and I did give the Minister of Health an additional time because he had the success story.
House Leader, you can't use your time
Madam
so
Speaker,
unwisely.
Madam Speaker, the 23rd major success, Madam Speaker, is the establishment of the Tourism Entertainment Academy. And I will enjoin with that also the Tourism Gastronomy Academy, which is to be established. And Madam Speaker, what those two have done together is to create for the first time appropriate training for the tourism industry for entertainment, and indeed to enable workers of the industry who are excellent cooks and wonderful chefs to have a chance now to be executive sous chef and to attain the highest levels of remuneration in the industry. And only 2 weeks ago, the first cohort of executive sous chefs started their training program from 6 hotels, 25 of them. And we will be able, in time, Madam Speaker, to say ta-ta to these international chefs because we have our own well-qualified and well-positioned chefs. Madam Speaker, this is very important because one of the reasons that people quarrel about low value added in tourism and low salary is because we have not trained and certified and qualified all of our key workers so that they can ascend the highest levels in the industry. And what this government under Andrew Holness has done is to see the need for a transformation in the labor market arrangements in tourism. And it can only be achieved by certifying and enabling qualification. In other words, to create what we call a stackable credentials in the industry, so that we can have a situation where we can classify the worker on the basis of their qualification, and then we can remunerate according to classification. And this is something that is not new but never practiced. And it can't be practiced because we were not training and certifying them. Before our time, what we had was only Team Jamaica, which was an entry-level training for anybody who wants to be in tourism, so you teach them a little history and civics. What we have done, what this Andrew Holness government has done, is to recognize that the future of the tourism worker is about stackable credentials. It's about putting them in a place where they can compete, that they will have portability, which is so important, that once you're qualified. And you know, Madam Speaker, one of the things that we did in this area, which was unique and is borrowed by the UN tourism, is that we went into the hotels and found competent workers who were not certified. And with the American Hotel and Lodging Education Institute and the American Culinary Federation, we gave them qualifications and certifications so that today they can go anywhere in the world and show off their certificate as ACF, qualified ACF and AHLEI. Wonderful position. No other time in our history has the tourism worker been put in a position where he can then move up mobility and move out portability. Madam Speaker, the environmental and heritage products are critical to the development within our space. And we have gone and found places for restoration. We've worked with Rick's Cafe to create the Red Stripe experience. We've done the Milk River Spa revitalization. And we have created the Adopt an Era program and the Jam Iconic Experience expansion. All of these critical areas are first in the tourism space. And finally, in the 25, Madam Speaker, Spruce Up Jamaica. Spruce Up Jamaica. This community-based tourism uplift. We have executed community beautification and heritage product in every constituency, creating jobs, empowering artisans, and enhancing the appeal of rural tourism. Madam Speaker, all 63 constituencies have benefited from this program, and over 300 communities. Over 300 communities have been directly impacted, and between 2016 and 2024, we have delivered 408 projects to the tune of 1.57 billion Jamaican dollars. Madam Speaker, these 25 major successes demonstrate that we are transforming, innovating, and delivering. Madam Speaker, the fact is that Jamaica has performed excellently in the face of the global tourism landscape, and the fact that we have had what has been described as perhaps the most disruptive period in our recent history. No one thought that we could have navigated through COVID the way we did. And the immediate aftermath of COVID has not been linear. It has not been straightforward. Indeed, the recovery has been more disruptive than COVID itself, as we have seen in terms of the supply chain disruptions. We have seen in terms of problems with the airlift, when airlines could not replenish their stock because the manufacturers did not have the planes to supply. When the maintenance programs also were at risk because the maintenance companies were not able to provide the parts and so on required. And all of that impacted on the level of airlift that would come into your country, and impacted also on your arrivals. But through it all, Jamaica persevered and we worked. We had issues also, Prime Minister, with travel advisories. But through it all, we worked. And the good news is that with the effort of our Prime Minister, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Industry, and the team from the Ministry of Security, combined, oh yes, he did some work, combined with a task force that we established in the ministry. Members of the task force are actually in the gallery, work assiduously day and night, and we are proud that the U.S. has finally relented and have now provided Jamaica with a level 2 accreditation in the travel advisory. And we're excited about the prospects of what that means for the expansion and growth of the industry over the period. We've moved, Madam Speaker, into market diversification to great success. We have analyzed the performance by the source markets. We looked at the challenges and the extraordinary opportunities also that were there, and we created a strategic approach to market diversification. Our primary source market, the United States, registered 4.1% decline compared to 23, largely due to economic uncertainty and election year dynamics, and of course the advisories of which I spoke, plus the aviation disruptions of which I spoke. However, this was offset by robust growth from other regions, and that is to tell you how resilient we are, that we have moved and we have gone into South America. We've gone into Europe and in Eastern Europe and in Central Europe, and we have done extra work in Canada, so that today, despite the disruptions of which I speak, and the fact that we had a soft winter, we are now back into growth ways. And in the last 3 months, Prime Minister, this first quarter of the fiscal year, we'll see growth from tourism, and our GDP growth is going to be in a better place. Madam Speaker, I'm particularly pleased to highlight the success of our market diversification strategy in emerging regions. Latin America produced 13.2% more stopover arrivals for 2024 calendar year versus 23, while the Caribbean region generated an impressive 25.1% more stopover compared to the previous year. Madam Speaker, the challenges of 24 were complex and would have overwhelmed destinations lacking in strength, fundamental and strategic leadership. Jamaica faced the lingering impacts of a widely publicized U.S. travel advisory severe weather events, including Hurricane Beryl and Tropical Storm Raphael, and persistent rainfall. And added to this were the U.S. election year travel slowdowns, high interest rates, inflation, aircraft supply chain issues, cyber disruptions, and ongoing geopolitical instability. Yet, despite these headwinds, Jamaica has retained its leading position as a regional tourism and remains a top choice among the global travelers and industry professionals. Speaking of global challenges, we welcome the U.S. government decision to lift the advisory on travel to Jamaica from level 3 to 2 and extend heartfelt thanks to our Prime Minister again, whose strong leadership and skilled negotiations were instrumental in making this a reality with the support of our National Security Ministry, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I want to especially single out the ambassador, Jamaica's ambassador to Washington, Senator now the Honorable Audrey Banks. Madam Speaker, we want to particularly celebrate the excellent work of the Jamaica Tourist Board, now celebrating its 70th anniversary as the destination's marketing organization, and indeed the #1 destination marketing organization for the Caribbean. And the fact that they have been there for 70 years, and Madam Speaker, they have become, and this is arguably, you know, the most efficient tourism bureau in the world, the Jamaica Tourist Board. And we say that without fear of any contradiction. This tourist board takes a budget of less than 20 million US and turnover 4.3 billion US dollars in the year. Madam Speaker, the industry has grown as a result of the excellence of the Jamaica Tourist Board. And I want to use the opportunity to commend the past chairman, the past directors, and the past ministers too of tourism who have helped to channel and manage this facility and this board over the years to enable the success that we have. And as we move forward, I want to make a special point of pride to indicate how the Tourist Board has managed to navigate its way through so many situations. And to today, Prime Minister, through your help and through the support of the team around Jamaica's iconic personality, one who has captured the world's imagination in terms of the field of athletics. And for the first time, Jamaica has Usain Bolt, the Honorable Usain Bolt, as our tourism ambassador. Madam Speaker, we have recognized the importance of building a future around innovation. We have recognized the importance of building both sides of the tourism economic divide. We've talked a lot about the demand that tourism brings to the economy. We've talked a lot about how to link the demand to the supplies. But we haven't done enough about that. And I'm proud to say that over the period, we established the Tourism Linkage Network, which really was an improvement on the Tourism Linkage Hub that was there prior to my ascendancy as minister. And what we have done with the Tourism Linkages Network is to connect every sector. We speak of linking tourism with every Jamaica's success. We're not engaging in political rhetoric here. We are referring to concrete actions, measurable results, and transformational initiatives that create opportunities for farmers, manufacturers, artists and hairdressers, taxi drivers, tour operators, chefs, content creators, and many other workers across Jamaica. Our newly appointed Minister of State, when he was given his task, was tasked, in fact, by our Prime Minister to play a leading role in engaging the various sectors and individuals so that we could build navigable pathways and strategically align to achieve mutual success and outcomes. This yeoman effort on his part in the few months that he's there had enabled the evolution of working across governments and private sector groups. It has been able to bring these people together. And in a short time, Madam Speaker, we are seeing how the tourism linkage network is beginning to integrate itself fully into the supply chain of the industry. Through 5 specialized networks and 2 technical working groups, the tourism linkage network promotes experiential tourism while reducing import dependency, expanding local opportunities, and enhancing the authenticity that workers seek. These focus areas, Madam Speaker, of agriculture, manufacturing, gastronomy, health and wellness, knowledge, shopping, and sports and entertainment are aligned to ensure tourism spending stays within the economy, benefiting Jamaican producers and communities. Tourism touches every sector of the economy with more powerful multiplier effects. 15% of construction is connected with tourism. 10% of finance is connected with tourism. 20% of manufacturing. 21% of utilities, agriculture, and fisheries. In other words, Madam Speaker, tourism is really a confluence of all the moving parts within an economy that must come together seamlessly to create the product that we market. And we are proud to say that in every point along that value chain is wealth. And almost every element that is involved there can indeed testify that they have grown, expanded, and done better. The transformation that we have seen in agriculture through the tourism demand is evident. And the Minister of Agriculture, in his speech, made a very telling story with regards to those linkages. We created the Agricultural Linkages Exchange, known throughout the industry as ALIX, and we continue to demonstrate remarkable success in connecting our farmers directly with hotels and food services providers across the chain. And we indicated already that we are looking now that ALIX will facilitate in this year 3 million kilograms of produce, valued at $450 million. In just the first 4 months of this year, we have already earned $100 million for the farming communities of Jamaica. It is indeed important to highlight, Madam Speaker, that these figures form part of the overall agriculture produce sales in the tourism industry. A really small portion, because when we have done this study, it indicates that the value for just fresh fruits and vegetables is more than 363 billion Jamaican dollars. And so what the small farmers are doing is mere drop in the bucket, so to speak. And we now require the larger players to become involved. Our Prime Minister has been championing the cause for special arrangements to be made and long-term contracts to be crafted between hotels and our agriculture producers. And I'm proud to tell you that that is very much on the way. And already we have had commitment from our large hoteliers to be able to do this, providing, of course, we build the capacity to enable a certitude of flows at the time when required. And I'm sure that that will happen, because once these long-term contracts are crafted and put in place, then the banks will respond. And when the banks will respond, then the farmers will be active out there, and there will be that certitude of flow that is required. Madam Speaker, the matter of manufacturing renaissance through tourism markets is another big area. We have been talking with some of our large partners, particularly the cruise lines. And the cruise lines are ready and willing to take Jamaican manufactured goods. We have had a series of seminars bringing manufacturers together. Some 220 of them have come and had meetings with us already, looking at the whole area of creating, in fact, in time, a supplies logistics center. And we're excited about that prospect, because what that will do, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that, again, the supply side, which is where the wealth is. And a lot of people sit and think that tourism wealth is in large hotels and so on. The wealth of tourism is in the supply side. That's where, thank you very much, to understand that it is the consumption pattern of the visitor that has to be met. And once that is met, then the wealth stays in the destination. And we have been pushing that over time, and we believe that we are finally getting there. And Madam Speaker, we are looking at so many other areas to drive the consumption needs of the visitor and to secure a consumption pattern that enables the wealth to stay in destination Jamaica. Health and wellness is another big area to capitalize on. The wellness tourism is among the fastest growing global segments, and Jamaica is well positioned to lead, thanks for our natural assets, our traditional healing practices, and our premium spa experience. Madam Speaker, we have the flora and the fauna, we have the biodiversity that enables nutraceuticals to flow in the areas all up in the hills of St. Andrew and all in the cockpit country. We have the species of plants that are enabling the possibilities for nutraceuticals. And we must now capitalize on that and to build out our capacity on the supply side. Madam Speaker, fostering innovation and creative excellence is at the heart of changing the way our destination is viewed and attracting more and more visitors to our destination. Earlier, I spoke about the success of the Innovation Incubator, and that what that is really doing is helping us to cultivate tomorrow's leaders today and to enable not just the building out of new experiences, but to be able to utilize the cognitive systems that are now going to be the feature of the new experiences of tourism. Our young people have to learn to manipulate the cognitive system. AI is going to play a critical role in the future of tourism. And we are going to have to train and retrain. And so the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation, the incubator, and the other machinery that we have established and institutions that we are crafting are going to be critical to create the infrastructure that will enable the new tourism worker to emerge. And let us not kid ourselves about it. 70% of the workers of tourism are at risk in the future as a result of AI. 70%, because 70% of tourism workers' activities are casual and are low skilled. And this is the area that AI is going to play a huge role in. So I remember in 2010, and I just want to make this point to show Jamaica's insertion in innovation. In 2010, I met with a group called Ian Reality that is now working with Sandals. And at the time, the whole business of digitization was new. And the development of that whole new area of robotics and so on in tourism. And I went to a place named Nagara in Japan, where we were looking at the future of automation and the future of technology in tourism. And we learned from then that more than 30% of the global workforce would be replaced by automation. And then we started, and that's where the whole business of virtualization and digitization became a big part of the tourism arrangement. And Aeon Realty was on the virtualization side. And I took my then advisor with me to Manchester University to look at the first of the type, where we were training 1 million people simultaneously from the DC. And we saw that as a need, and that's how we established the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation. And that is why during COVID, we could train virtually 20,000 workers. And we could also marry 400 couples virtually and then invite them to come to Jamaica for honeymoon after COVID is over. So, Madam Speaker, this is a whole new ball game that Jamaica has to respond to. And out of the activities of the incubator, I spoke earlier about Dr. Dwayne Chambers, who was the winner of our first TEF 2023 incubator. And his startup program, he created what is called the Caribbean Front Desk, which fuses cultural and medical wellness into a modern digital platform. His work strengthens Jamaica's position in the global wellness tourism market and exemplifies how the incubator is turning bold ideas into transformational business. That is what we're about. And I want to tell you that this is the start of the whole human capital development revolution that we are pursuing in tourism. Madam Speaker, as we work to ensure every Jamaican benefit from tourism, human capital development remains central to our strategy. No destination can thrive without skilled, passionate professionals delivering outstanding visitor experiences. The Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation under the TEF continues to lead the workforce development. Between April 2024 and March 2025, 2,746 of the 3,100 candidates earned certificates, a strong 89% pass, reflecting that the quality of the program is there, but more critically, the workers' commitment. Certifications were awarded through leading institutions, and we are proud to say that we have partnered with some of the strongest and most renowned educational institutions within the tourism sector to enable the certification and qualification of our workers. And I'm proud that the future is going to be seriously strengthened and secured by this program of training and development, which is so critical to us. Madam Speaker, those who talk about how to change the worker position in the industry needs to take note of what are truly the things that will make for sustainable development of our workers. Our workers, yes, must be better rewarded. Yes, must be provided with better social conditions. But our workers also must strengthen the capacity for higher levels of productivity so that they can deliver even more, and not just around the 24 hours that they work within a space, but they can provide value added for their own self-development and development. And I'm excited about that prospect of what this government is offering in that space. Madam Speaker, I know that we do have a very strong and detailed presentation, and I do recognize the time constraints that we are working with. But I think it is very important, Madam Speaker, for us to recognize, I know, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, that we have to develop now the industry through policies and programs and new strategic approaches. And so we are reviewing a number of legislative arrangements in the industry to enable the capacity for the growth and development of which we speak. The Jamaica Tourist Board, in its 70th anniversary, Mr. Speaker, is now reviewing its 70-year-old act. And I'm very pleased to announce, Madam Speaker, that next week we will bring to this House the repeal of the Tourist Board Act, and indeed present a virtually new act that will guide the industry into the future. The challenges are great, and we have increased the types of involvement, the range of involvement, and indeed, Madam Speaker, we have to respond to the innovation of our time. So many changes have taken place over the last 70 years. So many new experiences have emerged. So many new systems have emerged. So many new practices too. And so many new business models. And we need to step up now and to provide the legislative and regulatory arrangements to be able to facilitate these development, to expand these development, and to provide scope for further innovation and development. So, Madam Speaker, in this context, the Ministry continues to work diligently to prioritize its legislative agenda for the year 25-26. And we are looking at strengthening our regulatory framework to modernize our operation and to ensure that our tourism sector continues to thrive in an ever-changing global environment that demands adaptivity and innovation. Madam Speaker, linking tourism to every Jamaican's success, and I'm closing now, Mr. Speaker. Linking the strategic framework development is critical. So linking tourism industry to every Jamaican's success, the Ministry continues to implement a strong policy agenda to focus on sustainability, inclusion, and resilience. Madam Speaker, we want to be able to examine in a closer way what are the true impact that tourism has on the economy. And we've been talking a lot about the impact, but we really have not done the level of empirical work that is required to truly measure. And if we are able to measure properly tourism's impact, we'll be able to manage better the whole process and to guarantee outcomes. People continue to say that tourism is an extractive industry, which is in a way true, but is not really fair to what tourism does and how it impacts every facet of economic activity and how it indeed influences the lives and development of communities across the space. But the work has not been done. And in the new dispensation, we are going to be focusing on creating that framework that will allow for our partners to come into the industry understanding very, very well what are the possibilities of tourism and how their skill and their assiduity to purpose and their own creativity and innovation can drive that to another level to enable rich, solid prosperity for the people of our country. And we are excited about the prospects of looking even at Spruce Up as another vehicle through which community tourism can be expanded. And this year we are providing you with $5 million to assist in creating some of these facilities within your community to advance and promote tourism. But we want to expand that further in the new round when we are back after the next event. Madam Speaker, we are looking at transforming the ground transportation system. And our Minister of State has been working with our ground transportation partners. And we are excited about creating a new vista for them, a deeper understanding of how to present their own products and how to negotiate and how to extract more from that space. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, is to create an opportunity for Jamaicans under a new and exciting program that we will bring in the next round, Prime Minister, called Jamaica First. And tourism will be driven by that concept of Jamaica First. And Jamaica First doesn't mean that foreign investors will not be welcome and be promoted. But what it means is that we will build the capacity of our Jamaicans so that they are always first in the line for all the benefits that come from tourism. And some other people only talk about it. Some other people only say that tourism workers should be getting this and getting that. But we are securing the future of the tourism workers so that anything and everything that happens in the industry, they will be first. And the exciting part of it, Madam Speaker, in closing, is that already we are seeing the fruits of it. So as we conclude, let us reflect upon the transformative journey our nation has embarked upon together. Tourism under this administration has blossomed far beyond an industry. It has become the very heartbeat of Jamaica, fueling prosperity, growth, and unity throughout every community and corridor. Over the past 2 terms, we have witnessed tourism ignite unprecedented growth in our agricultural fields, uplifting our farmers and revitalizing rural economies. We have seen our manufacturing sector thrive, proudly delivering Jamaican-made goods that stand tall on the global stage. Our infrastructure has experienced significant advancement, new roads, upgraded ports, and world-class airports, all vital arteries of progress connecting communities across our island. Critically, Mr. Speaker, tourism has reinforced national security, creating safer, more peaceful environment, not just for visitors, but fundamentally for every Jamaican citizen. It has elevated our cultural and creative industries, spotlighting Jamaican artists, musicians, and performers internationally, preserving our heritage and inspiring pride among our people. Tourism has become a symbol of inclusivity, providing opportunities equally across our cities and countryside, empowering individual families and communities alike. Every Jamaican, from Kingston to Montego Bay, from the Blue Mountains to the shores of Negril, have felt the tangible benefit of our collective effort. It is clear we have set a course that leaves no community behind, ensuring that the prosperity tourism generates touches every Jamaican heart and home. Yet our work is not finished. A 3rd term for this administration is not simply continuity. It is an opportunity to deepen and expand the achievements we have worked tirelessly for. It is our own chance to build upon solid foundation and to further amplify tourist transformative power. With your continued support, we pledge to intensify investment in community tourism, strengthen local enterprises, foster sustainability, and ensure every Jamaican reaps the full reward of our shared growth. Together, we have already achieved so much, yet the best is yet to come. Let us move forward with unity, optimism, and resolve, fully committed to a Jamaica where everyone thrives, where dignity and prosperity are universal, and where tourism continues to be our nation's lifeblood and pride. I feel deep in my heart that Jamaica knows the truth, and Jamaica will choose. Mr. Speaker, the next speaker will be the member from St. Mary Central. I know
the member from St. Mary Central, you now have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to make this presentation in the 22nd year and the 5th term as Member of Parliament for the great constituency of St. Mary Central. At the outset, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Almighty God for giving me strength and wisdom to serve my fellow Jamaicans and my constituents who have placed me in this noble house. I thank especially my constituents who have continued to repose their confidence in me by re-electing me to be their Member of Parliament for the past 22 years and 5 elections. The journey has not always been smooth sailing. It has its ups and downs. But at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, the satisfaction that one gets from serving the people eclipses any disappointment. I want to express my gratitude to my constituency organization, comprising my constituency executive members, divisional organizers, and the many hundreds of workers who toil in the political vineyard. To my constituency chairman, Comrade Omar Newell, and my 3 councillors, Paul Fife, Corinne MacDonald, and Councillor Everton Garvey, who are here. And the Hampstead Divisional Chairman, Comrade Vivien Silveira, I want to say a big thank you. There are also persons, Mr. Speaker, who, not named, but will know themselves, who are my friends, as well as those who belong to corporate Jamaica, who have ensured that all arrangements are in place during and outside of the campaign period. And I want to say a grateful thanks. Special thanks to my driver, Ricardo Henry, and security detail, Constable Albert Anderson and District Constable Chris Saunders, for the long hours they work and for conveying me safely. To my party leader, Mr. Mark Golden, I want to say a big thank you for your guidance and support, and to say to you, big things are in store for you very soon. To my parliamentary colleagues, on both sides of the House, for their collegiality, friendship, and comradeship. Even though we are from different political parties, your camaraderie always triumphs. And to you, Mr. Speaker, and by extension, Madam Speaker, for conducting the affairs of this Parliament, and for, well, Madam Speaker, your graciousness. But, Mr. Speaker, even though we do not always see eye to eye on your rulings, we have respectfully complied with them. Finally, Madam Speaker, to my family, my wife Nadine and my children, Kimberly, who is here, and Maurice. And our 2 additions to the family, our grandsons Alexander and Zachary, for their forbearance and patience, and yes, long suffering, for allowing me time off from family and sharing with the broader constituents. I'm eternally grateful and want to say publicly, as I've said before, I love all of you. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I speak today not only to contribute to this annual sectoral debate about health and wellness and education, but as a proud Jamaican deeply concerned for the state of our nation's public health. Yes, Minister. The system stands at a crossroads, battered by neglect, inefficiency, waste, and lack of meaningful accountability. Despite the spirited defense given a week ago, the reality is that Jamaica's public health system is at a critical breakpoint. Equipment failures, industrial action at every level of staff, overcrowded, deteriorating facilities have become the daily reality for our people. Many Jamaicans visiting hospitals for needed or emergency care have spent days and weeks fighting to be accommodated with a bed. Some have been forced to remain on stretchers, in wheelchairs, on chairs and benches, and yet others have had to make cold ground their bed, even if not rock stone their pillow. Minister, you must be aware of these situations, which are not limited and were not limited to the COVID pandemic period. Neither are they limited to any particular institution, urban or rural, whether type A, B, or C. In all of them it exists. The government's focus on public relations, Chris, and optics, rather than the actual delivery of service, has pushed the sector to the brink of collapse. Each week, we see or hear of another grieving family, another life lost, another tragedy that could have been prevented. And you know, Mr. Speaker, with glee, the minister in berating the previous government handling of health pointed to a newspaper article of 2015 which mentioned, and I quote, doctors use plastic bags as aprons in operating theatres, unquote. This doesn't happen nowadays. You know, Minister, that not happen. At least we haven't heard about it. But what happens, Mr. Speaker, is that surgeries are aborted because of the absence of even theatre linen. And we only could look at what happened in Notre Bay the other day in a TVJ expose in June 3, 2025, because of the absence of functioning theatres, because theatres have become mold infested and out of commission. At least in 2015, patients were getting the much needed surgery with the aprons from plastic bag. One cannot say the same for today. Mr. Speaker, this is not just a crisis of infrastructure, but a crisis of leadership and compassion. Madam Speaker, nothing highlights, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, this crisis more starkly than the recent procurement scandal involving the $31 million drill. The matter is before the court, so we're not going to go into specific details here. Suffice it to say, $31 million is money that could have been used to purchase a drill and life-saving medications, repair broken equipment, or hire much-needed staff. We must question the value for money proposition and assert only that accountability is needed in the system. The country is asking and demanding answers. We join them. We demand a full and independent investigation. Tell the people of Jamaica how their money is being spent, and those responsible must be held to account. This, Mr. Speaker, is not a time for excuses. This is a time for action. The government must act decisively to restore trust and ensure that every dollar spent on healthcare delivers real value for money to the people of Jamaica. Mr. Speaker, the Cornwall Regional Hospital is the saddest situation in the public health system and represents a continuing crisis. And you, Mr. Speaker, more than anybody else knows about that. It affects your constituency. It has affected the entire Western Jamaica for nearly a decade. People of 5 parishes have no access to health care, proper health care at the only Type A facility in that part of Jamaica. The closure or limited operation began in 2016, as we all know, due to complaints of noxious fumes. And Jamaica remains without a firm date for completion of the engineering and construction work, and without a date for the reopening and provision of full services the public expects from a Type A facility. You know, Mr. Speaker, during the sectoral presentation, the minister was at pains to somehow minimize the humongous bill, which the project has also cost taxpayers money, and which is also, in all likelihood, is still unknown, as the completion was pushed back only days before he spoke. How could the minister attempt to portray that the Cornwall Regional Hospital project has been anything but a complete disaster for the people of Jamaica, especially those needing health care? But, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we know election is in the air, when for the first time publicly we hear the minister expressing some remorse and being sorry for the debacle at Cornwall Regional Hospital. Mr. Speaker, it is disingenuous of the minister to come here and speak about the 9.4 billion, I use in your word, already spent for fees, construction, and equipment, without acknowledging that the estimates of expenditure, and I have it right here, Mr. Speaker. This book, prepared and presented by his government and Ministry of Finance, had projected the total cost to almost 23 billion. In fact, Mr. Speaker, 21.4, which is in this book, for 25-26. But guess what? The minister decided to tag on another 2.1, as was indicated by him at the opening of the administrative block in April 2025. Here, government touts 23.5 Cornwall Regional Hospital overhaul. These numbers were not created by the opposition. These are your numbers, Minister. And I challenge you to indicate where any member of the opposition speaking on any platform has indicated that the figure is 26 or 27, as you alluded to. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we have had over the years expressed concerns about the continuing cost escalation, which at times seem to have had no end. I remember in 2021, I said it was going to cost 10. The minister scoffed at it. He rubbished it and said, I don't know where my colleague got those figures from, but I'm going to have a talk with him about it to find out how he came by those. Which at times, Mr. Speaker, seem to have moved from single-digit billions to this whopping number. We have even visited the site to see firsthand and to allay the concern. So after almost 10 years, several numbers providing annual estimates. And your sectoral address last week, my question is, Minister, do you really know the number? And buy a drink. And speaking of numbers, Mr. Speaker, and speaking of numbers, the minister indicated that there has been an increase in number of mental health visits to the health facilities, moving from 107,000 visits in 2015 to 190,000 in 2021. It would be helpful to give a better indication were the minister able to give the numbers in the last calendar year. As I suspect these numbers are much greater. But let's use those numbers. It is almost a 100% increase. And even though we know that mental health illness is on the rise worldwide, and not something to trivialize, one cannot help but wondering whether this increase over the past 9 years is a result of the hardships and the stresses that the Jamaican people have had to encounter under this government, leading to anxieties and depression over the period of time. And if you want a comparison, Mr. Speaker, compare USA. They had 43.4 million in 2015 and 57.8 million in 2021, a 33% rise. But we're almost looking at a 100%. And Minister, I Googled this so you can go check it too. Mr. Speaker, as we fight for accountability in our health system, we must also confront another grave issue, the safety of our healthcare workers. Something that has always been said. Yes, Minister, you have said it before. I want to say it as well, because I want to take a moment to acknowledge and condemn in the strongest possible terms the recent attack on the nurse at University Hospital of the West Indies. Our doctors, our nurses, and the entire support staff are the backbone of our health system. They work tirelessly, even under impossible conditions, to care for our people. Any attack on them is an attack on all of us and the very fabric of our society. And we therefore call on the government to take immediate steps to ensure the safety and security of all healthcare workers. This must include increased security measures, better support system, and a zero-tolerance approach to violence in our hospitals and clinics. The People's National Party is committed to a new vision for healthcare, one that puts people, not buildings, first. We'll pivot away from photo ops for medical projects and ribbon-cutting ceremonies and focus on enhancing service delivery across all clinics and hospitals island-wide. Every operating theatre from KPH to Cornwall Regional will be made fully functional. No more years-long wait for surgery. We will move from ribbon cutting to cutting hernias and saving lives. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, even as we await the promised land with the announced 27 new theatres, the government must get the existing ones working efficiently and consistently. There is a better way of delivering health service to the people, and we are committing to do that in the new PNP government to take office later this year. And this will include urgent care and primary care. We will expand urgent care centers and extend clinic hours, and we see Minister start some of that, ensuring that Jamaicans can access care quickly and efficiently without sleeping on benches or floors or even being herded like cattle in the current A&E areas of our hospital. Every parish hospital will be equipped with functional diagnostic equipment, including CT scanners. And we don't need specialist radiologists for these. We need radiographers because we use, Minister, as you have indicated, the ICT backbone to read these. No more waiting for ambulances to transport patients for basic scan. No more excuse for playing the blame game. This will be done continuing the effort of the partisan administration, which started to provide MRI machines. We will launch national screening programs for cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and other leading causes of death. Prevention and early treatment will be our mantra. We will invest in our healthcare professionals, offering advanced training, better compensation, and housing incentives to attract and retain the best talent. We will implement a robust preventative maintenance program for all health facilities and equipment, ending the cycle of breakdowns and service disruptions. You know, Mr. Speaker, many times the country is reminded by the minister that whatever problem exists in the sector was inherited by him. However, Mr. Speaker, the minister must be reminded that having recognized the problem and being there for 9 years, it was his responsibility as minister to fix it. But it may seem that the minister is only now recognizing these problems. And Mr. Speaker, if that is the case, he has failed in his task as minister. But as I said earlier on, elections are in the air. A new PNP government also recognized the invaluable contribution of volunteers, medical missions, and health fairs. We will make it easier. We will make it easier for these good Samaritans to serve, cutting through the bureaucracy that hinders their work and ensuring that no child is denied a school medical because of costs. Mr. Speaker, the health and wellness of our nation cannot be left to chance, nor can it be sacrificed to political gain or personal enrichment from whichever side. The next PNP government will put people before politics, service before self, and accountability before excuses. We will build trust, we will restore dignity, and deliver the quality health care that every Jamaican deserves. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the important subject of education. I'm done with you, Chris, for now. I will not just merely critique. I will not just merely critique present policy, but also sound a national alarm. Our education system is under siege, not by natural disaster, not by war, but by the inaction of a government failing to protect our most vital resources, our students and our teachers. For 3 years now, we have watched hundreds of qualified Jamaican teachers walk away from our classrooms, not only from the profession, but from the country. They are being poached by foreign systems that offer them what we refuse to: respect, resource, and a real future. To be clear, Mr. Speaker, this is not a natural phenomenon. It's a policy failure. We have repeatedly asked the government how many teachers have left over the last 5 years. How many classrooms are without specialist teachers? What is the plan? It is clear, Mr. Speaker, there's no plan. Only press releases. And while the government fiddles, schools are left scrambling to import teachers from all over, from Ghana, without cultural orientation, without a clear strategy, a mere few days before the school term. Meanwhile, what is the result? Only 18% of our students are passing 5 or more CSEC subjects, including maths and English. That means 82% are not academically equipped to access quality jobs, tertiary education, or meaningful advancement in life. That is the cost of teacher migration. That is the cost of policy neglect. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, this nation cannot continue to have any more Pembroke Hall high schools, cannot have more students entering high schools unable to read and write, Madam Speaker. And guess what? This is not unique to that school that has come to national prominence recently, as a survey of the vast majority of high schools will reveal a similar disturbing pattern. It is not teacher issue alone. Many factors have now combined to create a major national emergency. The PNP has major policy initiatives to address the crisis. We will not allow this brain drain to continue unchecked. We have developed a comprehensive teacher retention plan, NHT mortgage benefits for teachers, vehicle duty concessions for teachers, student loan forgiveness for teachers, free internet for teachers, modern classroom and staff rooms for teachers, and a national campaign for teacher respect. Each week, yes, Prime Minister, each week, students in rural Jamaica are missing school because they cannot afford bus fare. This is 2025. That is unacceptable. The PNP proposes a 2,500 weekly transportation subsidy for students in rural communities to ensure that school is not a privilege for those who live close to school or the wealthy, but a right for every child everywhere. Let us talk about the Path Lunch program. $180 per child per day. That is the JLP government solution. You cannot buy a bottle of water and a patty for that, much less a nutritious meal. The PNP proposes a $400 per child per day, an amount backed by actual costs of preparation. Today, many schools have a path line and a regular lunch line. 2 lines, 2 Jamaicans. This is social apartheid playing out in our cafeterias and ultimately resulting in students accepting that social apartheid is a feature of our country and reinforcing the notion of 2 Jamaicans. That cannot happen, Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker. The PNP says 1 lunch line, 1 meal standard, 1 Jamaica. The nutrition list leads me to the most important policy question we need to face, and that is priority funding for the start in life, early childhood education. We must invest here to give the right start in terms of pedagogy and nutrition. The experts say 0 to 4 are the most important years in the learning life of children. If we enhance this early childhood experience, then the primary educational component will become much easier. Treat the youths right by focusing on the start, given at early childhood years. So no one will be left behind, because every child can learn and every child must learn. Principals are crying out. Schools are drowning under costs with inadequate subvention. We will implement and increase an index subvention policy so principals can plan, purchase, and protect their schools without constant begging or bake sales. The PNP will introduce the First in Family Scholarship, creating full tuition for the first child in a family to matriculate to university. This, Mr. Speaker, is not a financial policy. It is a vision for generational transformation. Transformation. 1 degree in a household often means an entire family lifted. Mr. Speaker, there is a choice before us. This Parliament stands at a crossroad. One path continues with unpaid teachers, segregated lunches, and absent students. The other path, the PNP's path, builds a system where students arrive, learn, eat, succeed, and are taught by professionals who feel valued and respected. You cannot fix education. You cannot fix education if your teachers are leaving. You cannot lift Jamaica if your students are falling behind. You cannot defend the status quo when only 18% of the students are passing the minimum academic threshold. The PNP, Mr. Speaker, is ready to lead with bold, costed, compassionate reform. Let us teach, let us feed, let us transport, and let us transform. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, relax, Darrell, relax. Mr. Speaker, this
Members.
concludes.
Members,
Darren, my friend, calm down, calm down. Mr. Speaker. Relax yourself, man.
members, can we allow
Mr. Speaker,
can we allow the member to complete his presentation? Member, you may continue.
Mr. Speaker, this, I am still, and a patriot. This concludes my time here in this House after 5 consecutive terms, representing the people of St. Mary's Central. And you're giving us some. Are you giving us some? We have never ceased extending, they have never ceased extending understanding, patience, and many kindnesses over the past 23 years. I'm comforted by the fact that as I leave them in good hands. As I retreat from representational politics, but still committed to St. Mary and Jamaica. I quote, Mr. Speaker, I quote the prophet Isaiah in chapter 41, verse 10. To all my wonderful people in Central St. Mary, and I quote, "So do not fear, for I am with you," unquote. As I leave, I further assure them through the words of Psalm 121, verse 8. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time on and forevermore. Mr. Speaker, it has been a privilege of a lifetime to serve the constituency from which I sprung and from which continues to be life-sustaining. I thank the many who have been here with me and for me. I thank those who have seen what I have done and found it necessary to say thank you. I know, Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Mr. Speaker, I ask that the Speaker be allowed an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation. Thank you.
The request is on the floor that the Speaker be allowed an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it.
thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the members. Mr. Speaker, a couple of days ago I received a message from the mother of a student on Facebook Messenger. It reads, "Good day, Mr. Maurice. Do you remember John Brown?" I'll change his name. Was Boy of the Year for 2018-2019 and left St. Mary High as a deputy head boy. Then moved on to UTech. In his first year, where his GPA was 3.8, he got a scholarship, the sum of 100,000. The second year's GPA was 3.89. He got a scholarship to Brandon University in Manitoba, Canada. 3 days before he gets his result at Brandon University, they emailed him from UTech, letting him know he had made the dean's list. His GPA was now 3.95. So exactly 3 days he had gotten his results from Brandon University, where his GPA had gone to 4.23. He got a scholarship and made the dean's list also at Brandon. All the time he was giving me, the mother, A and A+. But this semester he gave me 5 A+. I just want to take the time out to say thanks to you and the teachers at St. Mary High who helped him to be the young man he had become. He has not only made his family proud, but he has made you, Dr. Mr. Guy, and all the teachers who played a part in his life, and also go out there and made Jamaica proud at Brandon University, getting the highest distinction in his faculty. And again, thanks for the tuition money I used to get every year to help with his tuition as a single mother. Without taking student loans. Thank you, sir, for believing in my son. Thank you. You know, he lives right next door to school, though. He lives right next door to school. And having said that, when I received that, Mr. Speaker, I was reminded of the great American memorist and poet Maya Angelou, who said, "People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel." I thank also the parliamentary staff who have been helpful, resourceful, and always willing to assist so we could get on with the people's business. Special thanks to the 4 clerks to the House of Parliament who have served during my tenure. Mrs. Shirley Lewis, Mrs. Heather Cook, Ms. Valerie Curtis, and incumbent Ms. Colleen Lowe. I thank you all. I thank also the many public servants who have helped me along the way whilst I was Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Transport Works and Housing, 2012 to 16. My then, with responsibility for housing, with my then permanent secretary, now cabinet secretary, Honorable Audrey Sewell, my CTD in the ministry, Mrs. Doreen Prendergast, my then senior advisor, Mr. Gerard Green, my many board members, chairmen, and heads of agencies, and all the individuals who contribute to my growth and development over the years and who did good work. I also take some satisfaction in some of the accomplishments during my time as minister. Piloting in the Road Traffic Act of 2015 in the House of Representatives in November of that year, and after years of deliberation, but was not made into law until 2018. The amendment to the Mortgage Insurance Act of 2015, which act facilitates a reduction in the amount required for depositing a home from as high as 15% of the purchase price to as low as 3% deposit. The establishment of a national land titling program in the government where all ministries were brought under one umbrella group, effecting coordinated and quick distribution of titles in their respective ministries, as well as delinking titling from infrastructure completion so that the beneficiaries of those titles could utilize them as collateral for investment. The policy decision of writing off balances owed by homeowners to the Housing Corporation of Jamaica, subsequent HAJ, under the Operation Pride schemes, so they were able to receive their titles to utilize for investment purposes, among other measures. I belong to the class of 2002, and the only remaining colleague of that class in the Parliament is a member from St. Thomas Western. Collectively as a group, Mr. Speaker, we had high aspirations and expectations of doing a lot.
Stop it.
Changing the system, making Parliament better, serving our constituents better, and by extension, making our nation a better place. So, Mr. Speaker, I leave not saying mission accomplished, but asserting a lucta continua. The struggle continues to build a better Jamaica for all Jamaicans, not just a few. To my returning colleagues, develop policies which are national in scope, far-reaching in effect, and efficacious in their benefit to mankind. Remember, faith is confidence in what we hope for and the conviction of things not seen. May God continue to bless you all in your work, and may God continue to bless Jamaica.
Roslyn, what's up, Roslyn? Big up yourself. You know, say look like them done, you know. Me I wonder what go on, me they are going previously what go on. But anytime I see them mute the mic and yeah, look like them done, you know. You see me? I'm not sure what go on, you know. Me they are waiting and look at us. They look like I eat that. Let me see what go on now. Look like somebody else going to speak. Yeah, hold on there.
House Leader.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to, on behalf of the whole House, to express, our appreciation to the member who have served and served so well over the last 22 years. We want to wish him well, and since this is his last major presentation to this House, we would like for him to go in the style that normally members of value and worth and longevity go. And I will have to arrange that, Mr. Speaker, at an appropriate time before we go for recess, because I really appreciate good service on behalf of all of us. Mr. Speaker, I now ask that the sectoral debate be suspended until next Tuesday, the 24th of June, when we will have a number of speakers headlined by the Deputy House Leader and member for St. Catherine Central, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
The request is on the floor that the sectoral debate be suspended until next week, Tuesday. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I now move for the recommittal of the other agenda items which you suspended to facilitate the sectoral debate. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
The request is that the recommittal of the agenda be taken. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Statement by ministers.
Mr. Speaker, we have one statement by Minister, and I now invite you to ask the Minister of Health and Wellness and member for St. Catherine West Central to make his statement.
This is very brief, and but before I get into the statement, I want to join my colleague, Leader of Government Business, in commending and wishing all the very best to my colleague counterpart on that side, MP Guy. Mr. Speaker, as the person on the receiving end for the better part of a few years until he was otherwise assigned, I would go that far. I want to say, I want to say for the record that I have enjoyed the discussion, the discourse between us. He has demonstrated very consistently a statesman-like approach. Not that he has agreed with everything I say, and most time he does not, but he has been a gentleman in terms of his approach. And I think that he has made the parliament and the debate in the parliament very simple. The discussion between me, and I want to commend him and recognize him for that, Mr. Speaker. And I truly do wish him all the best. He's a good human being. Mr. Speaker, I just want to clarify. Sorry? No, of course not. No, I want to clarify. No, I wouldn't grace that type of rhetoric with a response. I want to clarify in the Parliament a couple of things that I had said in my sectoral. I'll just read it quickly. Giving an update on the diagnostics equipment for public patients. First of all, I do maintain, Mr. Speaker, that what we have been able to procure and install at this point in time is far more than what existed back in 2015, which was the theme of my presentation. Nevertheless, I want to just allow out of absolute transparency, to say what is in the system as we speak and give an indication of what is coming. So I did say that in 2024, some 703,000 imaging tests were conducted. And over the past year, we have acquired some 17 additional pieces of diagnostic equipment. We are in the process currently, Mr. Speaker, of acquiring through a new policy arrangement, leasing arrangement, some 16 additional pieces, including 10 CT scans and 6 MRI machines. The current state, and so that is to come. The current state of affairs, we have 5 CT scan machines, 2 each at the Kingston Public Hospital and University Hospital of the West Indies, 1 at Cornwall Regional Hospital. The number at UHWI will double shortly. We are well on the way for the installation of 2 additional CT scan machines. So Kingston Public, 2, Cornwall Regional, 1, UHWI, 2 preparations being made for 2 additional. the public can expect a fourfold increase in the number of MRI machines in the system, in addition to the one currently at the University Hospital of the West Indies. 3 more are to be procured, and 1 will be added once the Western Child and Adolescent Hospital begins operation sometime later on this year, certainly before the end of the year. These are already in the procurement process. So in terms of MRI machines, University Hospital of the West Indies has plus 1 3T is to be procured. Western Child, 1 to be Western Child and Adolescent Hospital, 1 to be installed for the opening of the hospital. Currently, mammogram services in the public health system, Mr. Speaker, is offered from 3 locations: Cornwall Regional, Kingston Public, and the University Hospital of the West Indies. When we assumed office, we had none in the public health system. We are also equipped with both digital and analog X-ray units. 16 digital X-rays available for use across the island. Another 2 to be brought on board shortly. So 1 is now being installed at Cornwall and the National Chest Hospital, respectively. They're building out the facilities to install those. Analog units are equipped with digital converters, Mr. Speaker, which are a total of 9 across the public health system. So in terms of digital X-ray units, Cornwall Regional Hospital with 1 to be installed, Maypen Hospital, Spanish Town Hospital, Bustamante Hospital for Children, Kingston Public Hospital, Savlamar Hospital 1, Falmouth 2, Noel Holmes 1, Black River 1, Port Maria Hospital 1, the University of the Hospital 3, National Chest 1 to be installed shortly, it's already here. And the analog with digital converter, we have Kingston Public 1, Princess Margaret 1, Linstead 1, Bustamante Hospital 1, Port Antonio 1, Onoto Bay Hospital 1, Mandeville Regional Hospital 2, and Percy Jr. 1. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the public health system is equipped with the 11 portable X-ray machines, Kingston Public Hospital 2, Bustamante Hospital for Children 2, Mandeville Regional Hospital 2, Savlamar 1, St. Anne's Bay 1, National Chest 1, and University Hospital of the West Indies with 2. It is to be noted also that with the leasing arrangement that we are now pursuing, which we will speak to in more specific terms with hopefully within another few weeks, not only are we outsourcing the acquisition of the equipment that will be placed in the hospital under a leasing arrangement, but that will come with servicing and replacement of the equipment when it would have completed its useful life. Because one of the real challenges that we face is that we buy the equipment and we cannot service because of limited capacity in-house or the unreliability of suppliers who oftentimes have to fly people in from overseas. So it's a different policy which will augur well for more reliability on diagnostics. So I wanted to clarify that because last time I mentioned 3 MRIs, but 1 of those are not yet installed. So I just wanted to clarify everything else is as was announced. And just to conclude by saying the position is still the same. We are better off today than we were in 2015 in terms of diagnostic. More in the system, which means we are making progress. Any commentary that that ignores that context is an incomplete commentary on what has transpired. Just referencing what the opposition spokesman and finance said. Not that this is the reason for this announcement. I just wanted to clarify for absolute transparency because persons have been asking, where are these equipment? And so I decided to outline where they are. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Minister, I want to thank you for the update that you have given to the House. There are just a couple of questions in my presentation. In as much as the country needs it, and even with these, that we're still going to be in a deficit. But first of all, you said that you're in the process of procuring them. How soon will they be coming on stream? I know you're still in negotiations, but can you give the nation an idea as to when these will be implemented? Secondly, or when they'll be installed. Secondly, I note that you have indicated here, Minister, and I'm sure you have been guided by your technocrats, that there are 5T type MRI machines that are to be procured. 3T, why not 5T? And I ask the question because 5T gives a more detailed analysis of the structures that, that the MRI is capable of, and why are we sticking with old-fashioned 3T. And the third question, or third comment, Mr. Speaker, Minister, in more developed countries, and I'm particularly happy that you've mentioned this, that these equipment will be leased and maintained by the suppliers. In developing countries, in most developed countries, CT scans and MRIs are utilized 24 hours per day. And I am suggesting, if it is not being said already, that the government seeks to utilize these machines on a almost 24-hour basis, so that no backlog of patients wanting them to happen. And as we have indicated in my just recent concluded presentation, more ambulances to move the patients, we can have that done on a 24-hour basis.
Thank you. In relation to the first question about when, it depends on the institution. So I know that National Chest and Cornwall Regional have the machine in their possession. What seems to be a delay is the place to put the machine. So I think they're building out these machines, radiation and so on. They have to have special cubicles and so on. So in those cases, we would expect that the installation will take place quickly. In relation to like Western Child and Adolescent, that is when the hospital opens up, which the original timeline was sometime August, September. Even though they have not said to me, I suspect it may be a few months beyond that. So I would prefer to say conservatively by the end of the year. So it depends on where, but all are in the different stages of either procurement or installation. And that augurs well, I think, for the future, in addition to what we currently have. In terms of the sophistication of the machines, we have actually some highly advanced and sophisticated machines now, some of the top rated globally. I don't profess to have the specs, and I wouldn't try. So you have raised that issue. I will inquire, because you, based on your practice and profession, would probably have a better idea. But I know that a lot of what we have is absolutely top technology. And then in terms of the ambulances, we do have a fleet of ambulances that are assigned to each health center, and many of them perform the work of diagnostic support when it has to be outsourced. But our ambulances also are primarily used for transfer of patients, in keeping with the hub and spoke approach to health. There are some services you won't get at some places. So, yeah, well, unfortunately, you are likely not to be a part of that anytime soon. So you'll have to wait a very long time. Or certainly that's what we are working for. But yeah, I get the point you're making, that we need more ambulances for response in terms of trauma. And there's no doubt about that. We are working with the Ministry of Local Government, which is the primary agency that does road response through the fire department. The ambulances rightfully are to be there. There are some stationed in some stations. I think we need more. Our ambulances tend to move patients between hospitals, between institutions, or in the case of diagnostics. And we could always do it more, but I think our fleet right now is the best it has been in a very, very long time. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House are the following: Annual Report of the National Council on Education for the financial year 2019-2020. Annual Report of the Financial Investigations Division for the financial year 2018-2019. The Public Procurement National Development Project, Western Parishes Water Supply and Resilience Improvement